guys ready? Okay.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. If it's not too much trouble, we'd like to go ahead and get started with the meeting this morning. Welcome to the Warren County Board of Supervisors meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, November 21st. It's 9:30 a.m. We're in the Warren County Board of Supervisors room. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one addition to our consent agenda regarding setting a public meeting on December 5th for some property. And with that, I think we'll just go ahead and get into item number 1, the consent agenda.
I would move approval of the consent agenda items A through now I, with amended I.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. So the consent agenda is approved. The next item on our agenda are claims.
Hold on. I do have a question on the claims. I saw that we had at least the initial claims for the election that just happened. I'm assuming we're going to have more that's coming for like the rental of the equipment and all that sort of stuff.
For the, say that again,
For the claims?
for the rental of the equipment, is that what you said?
Yeah. Or the election cost for using the machines,
Which machines are you referring to?
the voting machines.
We own those machines?
But there's a cost, as I understand it, every time we use those.
No, not that I'm aware of. What kind of a cost are you talking about? Is it-
It's a
We have
rental.
a maintenance agreement that we have with them.
Yeah.
Am I misunderstanding?
Maybe that's what I'm
Okay.
referring to.
And that's paid yearly? But there's no rental?
There was an additional fee
There's-
that was included
there's
for the
programming.
special.
Maybe programming?
Yes,
Okay,
because
yes.
I assume we haven't seen that come through on
Yes,
the
that
claims
has
yet.
come through now for the special.
Is that on this group? I
believe
didn't-
That's already been paid. Yeah, I believe that's already been paid.
Did we already pay that?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on claims? I think at one time, Kim, that, and I don't know if this, we were just kind of wondering what the election costs at some point, like all the items.
I actually have that information for later.
For later, when we go over it, okay, certainly. I think that's
Good.
kind of my only question on, the claims is what
Absolutely.
that cost was, so. All right.
And also that figures into our budget planning, because obviously when you have, anytime you have a special election, that was not budgeted for this year. We budgeted, of course, for the primary and the election that just happened, but we didn't budget for a special election.
She
so-
did actually budget for a special election, and she has those costs in there for a county special-wide election. And I don't know if that's something that's budgeted yearly. but
Well,
there
at
were
one-
some-
at one point there was-
Money budgeted in case there was a special election.
we were considering at the time, the board was thinking about going out for bond, like we could potentially go out for bond on on the highway, the 4 highway system. So I think she
Right.
did like put 30 grand in a line item for that potential election, which didn't occur.
Right.
But then we did have a special election that did occur, another one. But I think the costs were way above $30,000. So I think that's just kind of what I would like to understand. And I think you and I have spoken, and I do have I think a fairly decent understanding, but it might not be a bad idea for the board later on in our meeting to kind of go over those costs and understand them better.
Very appreciated, thank you. I'll move approval of the claims as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. So the claims are approved.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, next item on our agenda is a public hearing regarding the city of Norwalk.
Oh, never mind, sorry.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Public hearing regarding the city of Norwalk's North River sanitary sewer project located along North River corridor near Highway 28. So we need to go into public hearing for this, is that correct?
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second? Roll call?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. So we're now in a public hearing. I don't know who's covering this for the city of Norwalk.
Lindsay, this is the public hearing for the interceptor plant, do we want to have the hearing? Do we want, because we weren't able to have it in the Board of Adjustment?
Do we want to add in here about that?
Do we want to table it because we couldn't, the Board of Adjustment hasn't been able to hear it yet?
Yeah, because I didn't know anything about this being on the agenda today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't aware.
That's
that
okay.
that was on it. I was kind of looking at it like. Thursday night, last week, the Board of Adjustment met, and the city of Norwalk had asked to put in a lift station for the sanitary sewer over off of 80th across from Twin Lakes.
Yep.
And
Right
nobody.
in the middle of it right now.
Yeah, and we had asked them, when they had asked us about it, we had asked them to stop so we could, have our public hearing in front of the Board of Adjustment. Granted, it's not a sanitary, or, it's not a wastewater treatment plant, but
Right,
it's
right.
still, and goes along with that, a lift station does, and so it needs to be handled with a Board of Adjustment application through our office. And the Board of Adjustment met last week, but nobody showed up. Nobody from the city of Norwalk showed up, and nobody from the engineering company that put that together
Wow.
that's helping with that. So the Board of Adjustment has tabled that, and the Board of Adjustment tabled it until we can hopefully get people here in January. We mailed and emailed notices to the city of Norwalk.
Okay.
And to the, we emailed a notice to the gentleman that had emailed us about the project from the engineering company, but nobody was here to represent. So, and they are continuing to work, which our Board of
Yeah.
Adjustment is pretty concerned about.
Exactly.
I got calls Friday, and I got calls again yesterday, which we had called Luke Nelson, and he and I hadn't connected, made connections, and so we are meeting this afternoon to kind of figure out how to proceed
Yeah.
with the giving Board of Adjustment answers, and then also meeting kind of, and going to give Luke a call and
Okay.
discuss that. So
All right.
that's scheduled for 2:30 this afternoon with our office and the
Okay.
attorneys, so.
Have all of these been published in the
The
paper
Board of
and all of that?
Adjustment, yeah, the Board of Adjustment notices, they went out to property owners within 500 feet, and then it was in all three papers too.
Wow.
So-
It's kind of amazing that no one is here to speak
Yeah,
on
and then
it,
today,
so-
I didn't know about this, I didn't know about this one,
Okay. I was wondering,
so, or how that got on.
there was
there.
nothing in our packet about it, and I thought, well, I guess we're going to learn more about
Do
it.
you know
but-
who called you about it? Okay. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
so,
Thank you, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everything still seemed to be on track, so.
okay.
Okay.
It's kind of odd to have Norwalk not respond, to your
yeah, it's
request,
always-
because they're always right on
Right.
things like that, and from my experience. So I'm sure there's just communication issue or some kind of logistic thing, but I'm sure Luke will
Exactly.
get this cleared up.
That's interesting. Well, this is really close to my place. I actually have a picture of what's going on out there, and
Great.
that's at the Twin Lakes part of it. But I'm assuming what is happening is this is connected then on over to the bigger project then on Highway 28. I assume, is that what's going on here?
Well, the part that we had was connecting, what development does your sister live in? Because that's connecting all that kind of
She
over.
lives on Kingfisher Drive across from the golf course.
And this is kind of, I think that area, they wanted this lift station to kind of handle the, off of R-57, that area, and then that area just south of G-14.
Yes.
There,
Wow.
kind of over is where they wanted this lift station, and yeah,
Okay.
so. Yeah, they got a lot of work going on.
Yeah, they do.
Sewer stuff, and, oh, yeah, and that's what the gentleman that emailed us pictures and, called was like, why are we even having the hearing? They're just keep working, and then we got calls again Friday from him as well, and then, our Board of Adjustment members were like, one of them had driven by and was like, they're still working, and we're like, we know, we've asked to stop, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Well, we'll table it for now.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Thank you,
I'll make-
Lindsay.
I'll make a motion to go out of public hearing.
What did she say?
A motion to go out of public hearing.
Oh, second.
Roll call.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. Okay, we're now back in our regular meeting. Next item on our agenda.
Well, I'll make a motion to table, well, that's your, Darren, as
Okay.
chair.
Do we need a motion to table something?
Yeah, I-
Okay, I'll make a motion to table item number 3 on our agenda today.
Second. Yep.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. Thank you, Crystal.
Yep.
Item number 4 is to announce the photo contest winners.
Yeehaw.
And I don't know if Jamie's here to do that or not.
I can do that.
Oh, Michaela's
Awesome,
going to do that?
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we had a lot of beautiful photos submitted, and the winner for Indianola, and all the photos and the winners and names, they'll be posted on the website. So for Indianola, the photographer is Megan Wagner. For Milo, the photographer is Sarah Neeland. St. Mary's photographer, Sherry Peterson. St. Charles photographer, Heather Gornick. Norwalk photographer is Audrey Warren. Lacona photographer, John Miller. And the Cumming photographer is Richard Boriski.
Excellent. These photos are beautiful.
I
When
think
you
we
just see
chose
these.
wisely.
Yeah, I do too. I
It was pretty
really,
easy. I mean, it was difficult to choose which one, but really, we couldn't have gone wrong. I think, with any
Yeah,
of them
there's
that
so
were
many
submitted.
beautiful.
They were really good, yeah.
But this really does, I don't know if people can see these photos, but this truly is the definition of what it's like to live in Iowa. A lot of these
Oh, yeah.
photos with the barns and the
Absolutely.
churches and the winter roads, and it's just, I think it encompasses what we're all about here, so. Okay, do we need to make a motion to approve the winners of the photo contest, or it's?
Why don't we go ahead and just do that?
Okay, I'll make a motion to announce Megan Wagner, Sarah Nyland, Sherry Peterson, Heather Gornick, Audrey Warren, John Miller, and Richard Boriski as the photo contestant winners in 2023 for the Warren County Photo Contest.
Second.
Roll call?
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. Those
Now,
winners
just as
are
a
approved.
reminder, my understanding is that we're going to open it up again here sometime in the next year for additional photos.
Yep, that is correct. For all the.
So this is not a one-and-done situation.
We're going to rotate pictures throughout our buildings, regularly.
Good.
So, yep, wonderful project. Next item on our agenda is to receive and file reports for general assistance and for zoning. Those reports are in your packet.
Looks like the building permits are continuing to happen. It would be nice to, how does this compare to other years? Are we with par, ahead, behind?
We are kind of right on track from last year as well. And I wanted to note our building permit list on those valuations, those are just approximate valuations that, so those are not actually that's like if somebody comes in and, you know, if they want to tell us a pole building's worth $20,000, well, the assessor's going to go out and assess it. So these are just their estimated values of what is being brought into the county. But also October 1, we went live with online permitting. So all of the permits that were done in October were online. We've had great feedback from the public.
Great.
Contractors, private homeowners, they all love it. So we followed up with them to see what they thought of the process, and they're really liking the process. And so that's worked out really well. Now they can, with our new payment system, they can just pay right online too, and then we get a report the next morning, and then we do our deposit off of that for the credit card stuff. And they can still bring in a check if they would like, and they just have to note that to us. But then that's how we reconcile and then take it down to the treasurer's office, and all that has gone very, very smoothly too. So, yeah, the online permitting has been great. So, yeah.
I love to see the growth in October. It's interesting if you go throughout the year with the permits and follow it. Some months do really, really well, and we're strong right now, the tail part of the year. So it's encouraging. People are still building and, you know, all the way through the year. So
Yeah.
it's a very encouraging report.
Just quick, I'm assuming based upon the MSA update that you gave us,
Oh, yes.
everything's on track?
Yes, everything is on track. We will be getting the land use plan draft in our office in mid-December to start reviewing, so we will make sure you get a copy of that to start reviewing, and then there will be a public open house. There'll be a steering committee meeting January 9th, and then there will be a public open house. We're still trying to determine the location of that to be able to have a public open house for people to come in and give their input on the land use plan. And so yeah, we're right on track with that too. And then that will follow, then once that's done, then the ordinance updates will follow.
Just as a reminder, approximately when do we think that the ordinance updates and everything will kind of be at a final point? Are we 10 months out, or?
They're thinking land use plan maybe March, final. So that would be hopefully ready for adoption in March, and then building stuff to come. So I would say they're shooting for May, June.
That'll be good timing. That's kind of what we estimated, wasn't it? Like, we're on track, the project's
They're
on
pretty much
schedule.
right on track with
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Okay.
And I will say,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, because in 2024, we're going to be redoing our ordinances throughout our big ordinance book, because we have to recodify every 5 years. So it would be nice to have that, and we could just codify that.
Oh, so it'll
I'm
just fit with
excited.
everything
Yeah.
else.
It's a big change that's needed to be done for a while now, so the zoning department is definitely elevating their game for sure with this project, so really proud of you and
Yeah.
what you're doing, so. Good report,
Thank you.
yep. Any other questions on the reports?
I would move acceptance of the general assistance and zoning reports as presented to us today.
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. The reports have been approved. The next item on the agenda is the supervisor's report, and at this time, I'd just like to make a quick announcement. that our Julie Doherty, our treasurer of 27 years here at Warren County, has decided to retire by the end of the year. I think most of the people in the county have heard that, and probably most of the people in the public, but there will be a process that will be kicking off next week, and I guess for the Board of Supervisors, like on November 28th, we're going to sit down and review this. So that'll be happening. If the public would like to attend on the 28th, there will be a meeting. It'll be my mission to make sure that we get the best person in the treasurer's office as we can, and I'm looking forward to the process. But by January 1st, 2024, Warren County will have a new treasurer.
I have a question for you. Is there any reason why we would deviate from the way that we handled the other office earlier this year?
Well, I don't think there would be, I think those options are going to be laid out to the Board of Supervisors of what we can and what we're supposed to be doing in accordance with the law. So I think it'll be the same unless Dawn
Yeah.
has something that makes this different.
So you've actually received an official letter of anticipated resignation then by the treasurer?
The letter actually goes to the auditor. That's just what the code says. They notify.
So you've not received one yet?
I-
So we'll,
I got an email.
Okay.
I'll talk with Julie about that.
Okay.
But she has
Okay.
notified the board, correct?
Yes.
Individually.
Yes. Okay. I was just wondering if we'd received official notice yet. That was my main question.
I feel like it's official, like I've been told that's what she plans to do, and I think a letter would cement that, so I think that's a good next follow-up step.
Okay. That's why I was just wondering if we had officially gotten to that point where we can actually make a decision.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not there yet, is
Yeah,
what
we're
you're
right.
saying.
That's
So,
correct.
Okay, that's fine.
By the 28th, I think we'll be ready to go.
Good.
So that's my report. Anybody got anything else?
Yes?
Okay, I've got.
Okay, go ahead,
Oh, you
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I want you to.
Okay.
I'm still figuring up.
Well, I had mentioned that last week was going to be my busy week where we have a lot of different board meetings. In fact, that did happen. And so one of the things that has happened, and I think that you were, as a board, aware of this previously, but the CERTPA organization, which we are members of, that's part of the transportation group, they have now had official votes both in the CERTPA board and at the MPO board to notify and let folks know that they are looking to have separate administration, and they're going to be probably being through MIPA, the Mid-Iowa Planning
Yep.
Association. So CERTPA will be actually housed physically with MIPA. And a lot of acronyms there. And so everybody knows, these are transportation planning groups and Mid-Iowa Planning area, I believe is what it is. So those two are looking to be together. The MPO board has accepted that as well, as far as what's going through, and they did that last Thursday. So Thursday was kind of a big, busy day for all this stuff going through the process. The MPO Policy Committee met last Thursday and was laying out their a little bit more long-range plan for what the transportation areas are going to look like that are going to be affected in the next 5 years. I'll forward a copy of those materials to each of you so you can have a chance to be up on all that stuff. There are obviously projects here in Warren County that are in the area. Things along the Interstate 35 corridor down the west side of the county are very much a part of this 5-year planning effort. They haven't necessarily, we had the actual planning director from this region was actually there and presented at the MPO last Thursday. So we're starting to see which things are actually programmed, which things are yet to be programmed in the 5 years. So just because they're in the planning process doesn't mean they've actually been programmed. And so they tend to go out really from a programming perspective, I'd say 1 year to 3 years would be.
Okay. When you say program, does that mean like budget
Actually
assigned?
budgeted, yes.
Okay, okay.
And so while they may be in the plan to be addressed, they haven't gone the next step of actually putting forth actual proposals for
Okay,
project letting and stuff like that.
okay,
But it's interesting to see what projects are
Yeah.
under, and it's in the greater Des Moines metro area in particular, where the MPO area is working. They also were looking at redrawing the boundaries for the MPO and bringing them further south into Warren County. So that is something that
Good.
hopefully would be a positive impact
Yeah.
for us from a planning perspective. We primarily, with our county engineer, and Tim is very, if he wants to speak on this, he could probably speak to it better than I could. But CERTPA is really probably as important or more important to us in terms of bringing us actual dollars for projects
I
here
didn't
in
know
Warren
that.
County.
Okay.
And that's why to see the boundaries actually shift with the MPO to come further into Warren County, I view that as a positive.
Me too.
Because then that means that potentially more MPO dollars can come into Warren County as well.
Yep.
I'll just be very frank with you. I think that a lot of times, those of us that are on the fringes of the MPO planning area, we get kind of the leftovers.
Yeah.
And so rather than being a dedicated part of the transportation planning process, we've kind of been an afterthought. And that's why CERTPA has been so important to us, because it has been the thing that has actually made it possible for us to get some of the planning dollars and project dollars put in place from a transportation standpoint.
Wonderful.
Let me think here, what else? I had Aging Resources Board meeting last week, too. There was really nothing new to report in that area at all. And let's see what else. I think that is pretty much it for me. Yep.
Thank you, Supervisor Snell.
Okay.
Now Supervisor McIntyre.
Thank you. Okay. I've got a lot to say today.
What's going on?
Yes, I'm excited. All right, we had a ISAC, now this is probably about 4 weeks worth of, because we didn't, I just want to say, I loved our last board meeting. I have never felt so excited to be on a board with the amount of care that you two want, not just for Warren County as a whole, but for the rural as well. And putting EMS at the top of your focus for next year, I just am so grateful and so thankful. And the last meeting just showed how that, we forego all of our board reports and we talked about what was important. So thank you. I had an ISAC Supervisors Continuing Education Committee, and I made a plea for ISAC to have 718 classes. This pertains to the budget restraints that the state is implementing on counties and cities. So they focused, and it's now a webinar. So I would urge my fellow supervisors, if you haven't already, to sign up. It's free. And then through Zoom, I attended a Building a Better Mousetrap. It's an annual meeting awarding those in government who come up with innovative and out-of-the-box type ideas that better our citizens' lives, and kind of entertaining. Attended through Zoom the permitting process. It was hosted by 2 U.S. representatives explaining permitting reform concerning Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Acts, IIJA. And then with Supervisor Snell's permission, I spoke with members of Greenfield Plaza and Hills of Coventry Community Association. I drove up there to meet with them, ended up not needing to get together. However, we as a Board of Supervisors had approached this very topic back in 2021 when we had ARPA dollars. And we were asking, we actually brought in Greenfield Plaza and Hills of Coventry Community Association, and we asked them if they would like to form their own government. We could set some money aside for a survey to see exactly how much the tax increase would be. And we have not heard anything back, and so that money was not allocated. So don't answer now, but that may be an ask at another work session or possibly next board meeting.
Just curious on that group, just roughly, how many people were in attendance when you were at that association meeting?
I did not meet with them because we had a disagreement with the time. So
okay.
I have spoke to them on the phone and then through text, and they're interested, but I think they wanted to know more particulars. And I said, ARPA dollars are pretty much allocated out. However, we do have some left over, maybe, I don't know. I think the last time the past engineer and I spoke about this, the study was about 80,000, and it would be by Vstrom and Kim coming in and just, how much is your fire going to be? How much is your law enforcement? How much, for them to take care of their own snow and street cleaning and the things that we as a county are covering, but then they would also need trash and, all the things that a city would do. And there's been pushback because they don't want to increase their taxes. Right. But if you want to have control of that, then you're going to need to, increase your taxes. But I don't have the answers of how much, and, we as a county don't. And so, hence this survey would be good information for them to make that decision. They're within the 2-mile radius of city limits, specifically of Des Moines. But Des Moines would be willing to let them create their own if that is what they so desire. But they have to, step up and do that, or Des Moines is going to have to make the decision soon. And so anyways, if you are interested in entertaining, I would suggest 100,000 or less to be allocated towards a study for them. But again, that's a board decision, and we can make that at another meeting, so.
That's an interesting deal because, if you think about that area, it also brings it up Liberty Center. So there's a number of issues that I think are tangential to that we need to really probably put into a bigger discussion.
Okay,
Because it's not just that area, it's others that are in similar situation where the
Right.
county, Warren County, is taking on major responsibility for a lot of things that are going on.
right,
And so I think from that standpoint, we probably have a bigger discussion. And so
Okay.
I appreciate the fact you're wanting to bring that forward. I just think there's more to it.
Absolutely,
Than
yeah.
just their considerations up there.
yeah.
And I guess my comments, and I appreciate you getting this, I think this is a very important discussion.
Yeah.
But I would certainly like to see more initiative from the leaders in the Greenfield Plaza area. I mean, we've sat down and we've tried to
Mm-hmm. Right.
convince them to incorporate, and we've
Right.
really urged them to do that. And I know we're doing some infrastructure projects there right now. I think the county's done a great job of supporting that township.
Okay.
But I would really like to see them organize and want this.
Yeah.
Before the county, says, yeah, here's money for a survey. What's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen to the survey? What are the metrics? Once we give that money, what do we want to see?
Mm-hmm.
How, let's get this on a schedule. Let's measure it. Let's make sure that they want this. I'd be all for it if they wanted it. And I believe that they would, get to that point. I think that would be great for Warren
Yeah.
County, and I think it's the right direction.
Well, and there's
But I
also
do-
other options to consider. I mean, it's not just the singular. They might find that the best option might actually be to incorporate it into the city of Des Moines.
They might.
Exactly,
They might
exactly.
figure
Because
that out.
that
Yeah.
needs to be a part of the items on the table
Yeah,
as well.
right.
Okay, do you continue as you are with the county taking care of everything? Do you self-incorporate as a municipality of some sort? Or do you consider becoming part of city of Des Moines?
Exactly.
They might find that the best might be,
Right.
It might be easier for Des Moines to absorb that
Yes.
than
And-
anything.
And they are under new leadership now, so that could be,
good.
something, and I think that's why I was approached, because I had met with these people who had just moved in, and they were concerned about, the neighborhood association, and, well, they call it community, and I just said, you need to work through them, but, reach out anytime you need, help, and this has been about a year later, and they're
Well,
very involved.
and I think realistically, when we're talking with that, the neighborhood association is just one group up there. I think really The other group that we need to really incorporate into the conversation there would be the Sewer District Board.
Absolutely.
Because they are the only entity out there that's, quote, official in terms of what they can do. The association is just that. It's just an association. It's not a government entity. It's not even really a real formal organization otherwise to be representative of the area.
Right.
So when you look at true representative inclusion, probably the sewer board is probably the most important one to incorporate as part of the conversation up there as well.
Okay,
Good.
great. Well, I just wanted to let you know
Well,
what
and
what
there's-
I would
There's
experience.
actually
so-
one other group that potentially needs, and I think that this goes back to our conversation we had, prior one, the one that you mentioned a moment ago, and that is the emergency services group, because they have been able to do some things with that North Warren Township area
Okay.
as far as emergency service. And obviously, that's the emergency group that is first on call for things that are impacted in the area you're talking about.
Okay,
So I think that working with the emergency service group
Okay.
and also the sewer district folks is really important. It's nice that the other association is there, but I think all three of those entities probably need to be involved in the conversations
Okay.
if we're doing stuff.
yeah, I'm not too familiar with the emergency services group, as you call
Well,
it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
and I'm not as familiar with it as I should
Well,
be.
you're talking
Oh,
about the
okay.
Northern Warren Fire Department,
That's
right?
correct.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, yes, okay,
Because
absolutely,
they've
because they
actually-
incorporate it,
They've
yes.
actually chosen to levy an additional tax
Yeah.
in the area to start to take care of that stuff. So that's why I say they need to be part of the conversation
Absolutely,
as we're
yeah.
going forward.
And that's why, we would hire Vista and Kim, because they're very invested in what happens in that area. In fact, they are our consultant in doing the work under our engineers, so.
Right.
And he's actually presented to the board the outline of the survey and things like that. So anyways, it's for another day, but I'm so
Right.
glad that you two are invested as well, so that's really good.
Thanks for sharing
Yeah,
that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
you're
Good
welcome.
work.
So the Board of Supervisors, we had 3 closed sessions in the last 4 weeks. We've had 3 specials, 3 work sessions, and a regular Board of Supervisors meeting. So I attended a webinar called State and Local Officials, Elections in the Artificial Intelligence Era. Met with the Nutrition Director, the Public Health Director, and the Treasurer. Met with the Sheriff to discuss the communication system, 28E. Also went to the quarterly meeting of the Northern and Middle River Water Management Agency. I will be bringing something to the board in our next work session for a letter of support and possible dollars, but we'll talk about that then. Participated in the opioid health navigator interviews. A candidate has been chosen and has accepted.
Really?
So, yeah, it's exciting. I attended the Essex Board Regional Interoperability Committee, otherwise known as the RIC. It's a phone call. We are actually in the region 1, and we have the most participants, and I think we have half of the counties participating in it. So that leads into my next. I attended the annual SWIP User Group Committee. It was a webinar, and the main complaint is participation of the RIC meetings. And I think a part of the lack of participation is we are on the Essex system, which is the entire communication system for the state of Iowa. Yes, Motorola is the preferred vendor, but it doesn't mean that because if you have or don't have a Motorola system, doesn't mean that you can't participate in Essex. Essex is for interoperability, which means we can all communicate with each other no matter what our system is, whether we have an old VHS, we have a new digital, and it's by Raycom or Motorola, it doesn't matter. And So I think there's that mix-up of people thinking that if I don't have a Motorola system, then I shouldn't be on ISIX. And it is really far from the truth. And in the RICs, basically, they talk about, best practices, policy, incidences that come up that, create possible new policy because of how it was handled or lack of. So it's really great that our communication supervisors and those in those positions could participate in those meetings. But I think getting other counties involved is important for right now. I also asked to be interviewed by a Simpson College student on the topic of religion and politics. And that was fun. Dispatch and communication discussion with the Indianola city manager. And I called to speak to an expert in the areas of communication since we're going through this 28E process. Just want to make sure that we're all in agreement and alignment, and that 28E will serve the best for Warren County. So anyways, that's my report. Thank you. Thanks
Good
for
job.
letting me go last.
Sounds like you've been busy, Crystal. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. That's a very
thank you.
comprehensive report on a lot of different topics.
It was 4 weeks.
Well, really sums up how busy you are. And,
I'm sure if you were to line out all of yours, it'd be pretty busy too, so.
Okay, that's the supervisor's report. The next item on our agenda is public input. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will not take any action on the comments due to the requirements of the open meetings law, but may do so in the future. No public input will be allowed for any of today's agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that would like to say something to the Board of Supervisors? Okay, our next meeting date is December 5th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved?
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and I hope everybody gets to spend quality time with their families the next
Thank you.
few days. It's the
You
best
too.
time of the year. Thank you.